Good morning, Tartaria Australia. Good day, Cambell. Welcome back to another show. Live in the bush for me. How you going, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Cal?
Yeah, well, I'm standing here. I always feel like I should show where I'm standing to put my life into context for everyone. Yeah, there you go. That's the actual background. So,
Oh no.
I was like standing in a paddock. So everyone has to bear with me as I, over the weeks and months, like actually physically build a little office somewhere that I can actually do these more in a more stable environment. And I can't look, just so you know, I'm still here in my eyes. I just can't deal with the sunlight hitting me while I'm standing out here. It's too much. I get very distracted. So until
metamorphosize into a rock star, Kelly.
I know the rock star, but until I get my environment stabilized, I'm just out here in the elements. So we actually had a podcast scheduled for yesterday, but it was raining, so I couldn't enter my outdoor office.
That'll be the next one, Kelly, with an umbrella.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's going to be like soon. Anyway, let's get back to the show. So, buddy, how are you going?
I'm going good. Yes. Busy. Everything's happening at once and trying to do 15 things, but good. Could be worse. Could have a job.
Look, I feel like everyone who's taken this pathway into sovereignty, over the last 2 years is so busy now, is so hectic. Everyone I know has their lives have amped up into sort of creative chaos. And anyone who sort of like didn't veer down that pathway of the last 2 years have sort of settled down and feeling like a nice peaceful lull has restabilized their existence. So really we are on different frequency bands.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like a lot of people, I mean, I don't really associate with them, but yeah, a lot of people think it's going back to normal.
Yeah.
Don't they? And they're all happy. Oh, yeah, it's all over. And back we go to the smart cities and listen to the face on the TV again.
Yeah. It's a different frequency band for sure. But for us, I think everyone would agree, our audience would agree that their lives have hit a new level of activity, action, chaos, creativity, impermanence, regrounding, attempting to, get their finances sorted and their sort of home environments sort of changing over. So yeah, it's definitely a period of creative energy for us, I believe. Which is good.
Yeah, I agree. And it's great. But the thing is, there's also nothing's reliable anymore, right? We don't even know we're going to have a money system, or we're going to have this, we're going to have that. So there's all this questioning, should I go down this? Oh, but what if all the money disappears? Should I be doing this? And I think in the end, we've just got to get to the point where that's all the show, right? I mean, money doesn't exist, it's value. So as long as you're creating value, you're going to be fine, whatever form that takes. But they're definitely trying to confuse us, right? They're trying to sort of put across this thing that the outside, like they always have done, right? The outside rules the inside, when clearly it's the other way around.
100%. I know that a lot of the chatter around me is about mortgages at the moment, and whether or not, if you have a mortgage, you should fix it or fix half of it. Annoying conversations around that topic, because like most of us have some form of a mortgage, and we're kind of conscious that there's going to potentially be a bit of a massive hike in the interest rates to sort of make that last squeeze to get people into sort of an unsovereign space. So I know that conversation's definitely around me at the moment. So I guess we're planning to fix ours if anyone's interested, and just take that leap of faith, because really at the end of the day, it's like rolling a dice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's not going to get better. I don't think that there's much scope for interest rates going down, in the next couple of years, are there?
It's such a fucking scam. Like, it's so hard not to get irritated at it.
It's a complete. I remember back in, showing my age again, but back in the 80s, late 80s, I think, early 90s.
Yeah.
Interest rates got up over 20% in Australia.
Yeah.
They were like 22% or something. And again, we can see that was a complete money grab, because then they came straight down again. They went straight back, they went down to 3%.
I know.
So they put it up, and just like they're doing with petrol, just grabbing all the money.
Yeah, I know. It's not like it's anything about it's organic or like inevitable. It literally is, a little agenda at the top, like making decisions and, collapsing people's lives. Just one more example of it. It's an irritating experience to go through, that is for sure. And I think for us, like, we've got so much insight and foresight to the possible direction of that agenda, that it's like, okay, well, we're being called on to make some big and tricky decisions at the moment, and one of those is on the mortgage, because obviously to fix a mortgage rate, this has nothing to do with Tartaria, but everything to do with the Great Reset, right? So to obviously fix the mortgage rate, you're paying twice the amount, and it just goes to them. So ours would go up like $200 each a week, so an extra $800 a week, a month each. And that's just to them. Like that's not paying off any extra principal. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're in that situation,
and
I'm feeling you.
Control, that's all part of the plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and what it really comes from is this perspective of, we've only got so much value and so much wealth. I mean, if we had the perspective of, oh, wow, look, they're putting fuel up. Oh, well, that just means that I just need to be, $10,000 a month more valuable or whatever. So this is the thing, like they can put it up, but we can go up with it, right? We don't have to be left behind and believe all that crap and go, oh my God, things are so, we can just go, oh, well, that's, numbers are changing, so I'll change the numbers in my bank, right?
I like that. I mean,
there's two
it's
ways
true.
to live.
Absolutely. And look, and it calls on a lot of sovereignty and a lot of creativity to go down that path, you gotta, and like, I love how at the beginning of our shows we always start with something completely like random, like mortgage rates, but this is not what the show's on, everyone. But yeah, I mean, like, it's like, which pathway do you want to choose? And it takes courage and guts. You gotta, like, this stand that we've all taken for sovereignty doesn't just end with not taking the jab, it's just going to be for the next couple of years. There's a constant putting your feet firmly on the ground and trusting a pathway and making decisions that relate to that pathway. And it's freaky shit, like when you're talking about things like mortgages. So yeah, I mean, I feel that this is probably consistent with our tribe around the world at the moment, and some we're getting, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're getting called on to make some more and more mature decisions around our pathway and our sovereignty. Yep. So which would it be? Yeah,
totally agree. If we want this, new earth or whatever we want to call it, then we have to deserve it, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't give a mansion to a bunch of kids to go and have a party in, right? Because they destroy it.
Well, they kind of did. They kind of did.
Yeah, well, they did. Yeah, right. They kind of gave it a realm to them. Yeah, right. But we wouldn't, because we're smarter.
Yeah. So I guess that's.
All choice.
Yeah, and so I guess that leads on to a nice topic today. I haven't actually talked to Cam about the topic today, but I have been thinking about a topic, Cambell. And, in all of our Tartarian discussions and our podcasts, and so many that I've watched over the last 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, one thing that definitely gets like skimmed over, because no one's got an answer for it, I guess. No one's got a process with it. It's like, what the fuck happened to the people? We've gone through these amazing uncoverings of like the evidence of the buildings and the giants, like all the things that we can see with our eyes. We've like been able to like correlate and compile and show amazing amounts of content and information giving evidence on this topic. But that all seems to come with like one like cube or one sort of point of reference in that whole story, the equation of what happened to the people. And I was thinking about this last night because I was working on, so I do, I'm one of the founders of the National Regenerative Agriculture Day, Cameron. We do it, that's every year. It's a national day. And So I'm working on the next event, right? And I'm sitting there, and it's all going to be aimed at healing the heart of the food chain and taking and removing chemicals out of the Australian food chain. Which is a real like split in my focus, because here I am putting energy over there when at the same time I'm thinking, for fuck's sake, this is such a deliberate agenda. And now they've got a deliberate agenda to get us to clean it all up for them. But what it triggered in me and got me thinking about was, okay, so from what I've gathered, and this is actually what I want to talk about today. We had this moment in time where we've talked about it as a great reset. Yes, there's been a great reset. And in that great reset, we've got photos of these empty, amazing cityscapes with no people in them. We've got a lot of evidence to suggest that these cityscapes, like the ones behind us, were not built by us. That's why they're so gigantic. They were built by a civilization that were much bigger than us, and they've been there a lot longer than the narrative around our history. So at some point in there, we've all made sort of theorizing that the population was potentially removed out of the equation and then placed back in. So that removed, and then you start to see all these photos, and there's a bit of evidence here. You start to see photos of like what look like lots of dazed and confused people all wearing the same clothes, or just sort of like in clumps, repopulating the cities. They're all sort of got these like blanky expressions on their face. No kids, no kids, and everyone's in the same clothes, as if they've just been mass produced. That's sort of like what it looks like a mass produced population. So chuck in any thoughts at that point, Cambell. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's definitely we can see there's a point where something's happened to the population, apart from the fact that the size of the population seems to have changed as well, right? In a fairly quick period.
Yeah.
It seems to be the sort of mid to late 1700s. People were still big, and then 1800s they were small. So definitely it looks like they've recreated a population, right? And maybe they recreated a slightly smaller, a bit shorter life, all this kind of stuff they do. But where did the previous population go to? This is the thing, right? We don't know. Of course that we've got the Toltecs, right? Maybe they ascended, but then we've also got outer lands. Did they take off? There's the non-confounder story, the man, what is it, the navigator who went over the ice wall?
Yep.
And it talks about but then there's a story of people going outside the ice wall and finding populations of humans who call them the ancestors.
Yes.
Yeah, and they say, look, no, we ran away because they were trying to reset us, so we took off. And you guys got stuck in there. You're basically the descendants of the people that didn't get out. That has to be a possibility, right? Because we've got these maps with extra land and everything. And then we've got all the catacombs. We do have catacombs across everywhere, like just full of bones.
Yes.
Full of bones.
Yep. That's true. And we've got the theory that Tartaria was essentially an airborne civilization. So that would, if that was the case, that would account for the missing population. And then with the first lot of photos we get, like, let's just be cynical about it. They could all those first series of photos could have been totally planted. We have no idea really. But then we've got all these orphans that come out of nowhere, and they again all the same sort of age and all the same clothes, and just again looks like a mass-produced child population. And then and the stories about the wars and parents breeding like buggery and don't want the kids anymore, and they're just so much, they're just selling them. I mean, that's like, that story is so ridiculous. Like, if you're a mother or a father, there's no way you just like fucking put signs up in your backyard to sell them like friggin' kitties, or pups.
And especially back in those times, because children were workers as well, right? If you had kids, they would help you.
Yeah.
They would help you on the farm or in the business or whatever. So the last thing you'd do is get rid of one.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you're a child as well, right?
So, and then we've got movies.
I think they want us to forget I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, I know, which is absolutely crazy. They really sell the picture that mothers and fathers just had zero heart. and were just like disconnected emotionally from their children, which, look, you know, if they were a reset copy being true. Yep.
And we do get those photos,
yep,
you know, when they're holding babies, like they don't know what the hell they're doing, you know.
Yes.
Like, what's this thing?
And we've got all the evidence of the incubators that we can see where the babies have been like put on sale by the agenda. Like they're literally on sale there. So we can see a disconnect between the emotional relationship between the mother, the parents, and the child, as if they don't know quite this is yet. It hasn't maybe come from their bodies, their vehicles. So they haven't had that emotional, natural, organic connection. And then also you've got in that sort of 1800s Victorian period, you've got a real push on morality and very prudent around sexuality, very restricted and oppressed and suppressed around the idea of sexuality.
Which is interesting.
Yes. So we got all these babies.
Like they didn't want people to procreate, but they were giving them more babies.
You know, so so it's really interesting. So we've got this push on Victorian morality, which is really prudent. And, you know, like literally women were wearing like metal chastity belts, like ridiculous shit, right? And then this disconnection between the lovers, so disconnection between natural organic partnership, and then a disconnection between parents and children. So there has been this glitch in the emotional relationship between the family scape. So we can say that we found a lot of evidence for that. Would you agree?
Yeah. And if the parents were raised, you know, whatever, if they were raised, you know, if they were artificial, you know, clone type people, or if they were just raised away from their parents, they wouldn't have that connection either to what a parent is.
Exactly.
They wouldn't know because they've never had one, so they can't show that to their children. They're totally lost. And I saw Universal Soldier part 3 or 4, the latest one the other day.
Oh yeah.
Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren are still in it. They're both like 60 now.
Yeah.
But interesting because in this they had clones. Like it was all around this guy who, you know, had this sort of big incident happen, and then he thinks he's going to hospital and he wakes up, but then halfway through the movie he finds out he's actually only like 2 weeks old, right?
Right.
Everything's been implanted as a memory, and he's been grown in this artificial womb. Yep. And by the way, artificial wombs are real. They've developed them.
Yeah.
These psychopaths have developed a thing so that women can now have a baby and carry it in an artificial womb, not in their body.
I know, this looks pretty freaky, but what you're looking at is actually a monumental step forward for medicine. Researchers have now created an artificial womb that can successfully keep an extremely premature fetus alive and developing normally. A lamb fetus, that is. The latest development in artificial placenta-based life support technology is an update to something called the ex vivo uterine environment, or EVE.
Check out this new concept. This concept of conceiving kids. Now the mother will no longer have to carry the kid for 9 months. Now it can be raised in a bag. How convenient. Mothers will no longer have to sacrifice their time and, most importantly, their bodies. Does this sound like something you would be interested in?
This is the Artificial Womb Facility, a place where humans could be grown entirely from scratch. The devices you see here are called growth pods. Each growth pod is designed to replicate the same conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus. Growth pods are designed to host human fetuses until they are fully developed. These artificial wombs are designed to help premature babies to continue developing after their birth. But emerging scientific research is making it possible to use them to create designer humans entirely from scratch.
Now, what do you think that's going to do to connection?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and when we see that's almost exactly, it fits, right? That's what happened.
Yeah.
They grew these people in this tech, and they had no connection to each other, to morality, to children, to parents, because they were born in a sack of fluid.
Yes. All right. And then you got, yeah. So that's all. I would say we've got a lot of evidence of that disconnect. And then the photos that we do have, you see like clumps of children together, the orphans or the working children, and then your clumps of adults together in the cities on the beach. You very rarely get to see images of communities together or natural families interacting. And when you do see the pictures with adults and children in, it's usually one adult like surrounded by a dozen children for sale. You know, like it's
or the authoritative sort of couple of adults and all the kids going, oh, we're being good.
So, all right. So but this is what triggered my thinking last night, because I'm thinking, fuck, man, they really have in the last, like since the last reset, they've really fucking gone out of their way in every level to poison us. So
they
have. So then I'm like, but like, so, okay. If we take it back to the Great Reset, the last Great Reset, there's like three streams of reality occurring at the same time. One is the reintroduction of the population, right? And so they go to all this trouble of reintroducing a population. So whether they did that underground or they reset everyone, like in the movie Dark City, which just occurred at nighttime. They went to sleep and then they woke up and then they were reset and they didn't even know about it. So wipe the memories while they're sleeping, blah, blah, blah. That's why the dreaming conscious is such an unknown variable here, and a very, very important one that, like, I think a lot of us are going to start to understand a lot more deeper, like what actually is the dreaming and what actually happens when we're dreaming, and like what is actually real, you know?
If we've been tricked to think that the dream is reality, it could be that 100%, simple, right?
100%. That thought tripped me out when I was a teenager. I was like, because I have such vivid dreams. I was like, I don't know which one is it's real, you know? Like I was waking up from these dreams emotionally involved and integrated into them, and waking up as if I had just lived them, and that's carried on my whole life. And then, you know, I wake up to this reality, which, like, let's be honest, is a lot less fantastical than the dreaming reality. We've got a lot less, you know, like abilities and powers and everything so much more solidified in the waking world, whatever that is, the simulation. So why, the question is, Cambell, why would they bother to reintroduce the population, do all that effort to re-bring it in, and then spend the next 200 years fucking poisoning them to death? Like, because that's what's happened.
Exactly right. It's like creating a good computer that you need, and then, you know, slowly infecting it with viruses, right?
Exactly, like deliberately, because all the poison's deliberate, a massive agenda. Same people.
Yeah, completely. I think the rulers understand, right? All those who wish to rule us, that we're way more powerful than they are. And as soon as we realize that, they're done, right? And so that's what all the suppression is. Everything is just to stop us looking inside and going, hang on, we can do whatever we want. You know, all those, you know, fairy tales are true. You know, magic's real. You know, if we start believing that, then they're stuffed, because we're creating reality, right, by what we think. And so they have to make us think that it's a deadly world, that we're sick, that we're getting poisoned, because then we're easy to control. But I mean, my view on that is everything's energy, right? Well, I think we always have to go back to the start point, because if you start off on a rotten foundation, you end up sideways, right? So if everything's energy, then I mean, what are chemtrails and all this kind of stuff? Can we not, you know, change that into something else and mutate it? Is that just a thought? Is what I'm thinking. It's like, I mean, if you think chemtrails are bad and they're poisoning us, and you're looking up in the sky every day and going, look at that, that's killing me. You're probably going to get affected by chemtrails, right?
Oh, it's an interesting one. I mean, in our dreams, you could transfer them like that, you know.
Exactly. In
this simulation. Yep, exactly. In the simulation, however, it's a lot more solidified. It's a lot more dense. And, you know, obviously I'm exposed to like literally thousands of people in my work that have been absolutely affected by poisons in the food chain and chemical poisons in agriculture. And that's just like to name just like one little genre of the poisons. But I guess what I'm trying to figure out, because what I realize is that this population, they went to all this effort, and then they went to all the effort to reintroduce the children, and then went all the effort of building the world. I mean, this is an agenda, man. Like, so before any of this happened, they had to figure out how to reset us. So they knew that information. They managed to reset our memories and consciousness. So they basically presented us with a blank slate. Then they got busy doing so many things. One, deconstructing the Tartarian civilization, totally deconstructing it. Like, it's not like they just sort of like let us run wild after that. They literally deconstructed across the whole world, and they did it through wars. They did it through political events. They did it through fucking just Freemasons. That's what the Freemasons, I believe, were managing. And this is like every city, every township in the whole realm simultaneously. They deconstructed. At the same time, they reconstructed and introduced the World Trade Fairs, meaning that they brought together all of the companies, the products, the industry, the foods, the brands, the natives, the population, the cultures, the fashion, everything you could imagine that would make up a culture of a realm across all nationalities. They brought together into a World Trade Fair. Like, that's an unbelievable, almost extraordinary concept. At the same time, while they're deconstructing the last civilization, reconstructing the new one via the World Trade Fairs, then they're also writing the education. So then they've got whole bodies of information, rewriting the education and rewriting history. That is a shitload of stuff going on.
It's almost
kind
like
of mind-boggling.
It would have to be a program, right? Because there's so much that has to be done.
So
like,
much.
if this is a simulation and you can just write a program and then it all changes, and that. But yeah, when you think of the actual physical work and how many people would be involved, and this is just to do with taking control. Yeah. This isn't to do with, digging out, buildings and the canals and all that kind of work as well. This is just the dudes in the top hats. So, I mean, that's a massive task
across the whole realm, not just one city or one country or one isolated place, the whole realm, right?
Everything.
So that's all happening simultaneously, and at the same time they're bothering to reintroduce the humans, if that's what we are, because we don't even fucking know, into the realm. And then on top of that, the third strand of this, they start to slowly kill us off. Like, it's so bizarre, the layers simultaneously working. And
sorry, I look at this as, and I've been saying this for years, we've been invaded, right? This is an invasion. We have been invaded by whatever, right? Other entities. And they want this, they want to rule this planet. And I don't think we've been given this picture of, Independence Day and spaceships that's coming in and blow the crap out of everything and destroy it. But that doesn't make sense, does it? Unless you were just out to kill, if you want the resources and you want that planet, you want to inhabit it, then you would want a workforce, a slave force, right? Why wouldn't you? So this is clearly what they're doing. So is this that they've wiped out, the originals that were here because they were too smart, too powerful, whatever, get rid of them, dumb us down, reduce our size, our intellect, all this, our lifespan, use us as slaves to rebuild the world that they want, dig everything out, get it right, while suppressing people. And then, because in the end, I'm sure they don't want 7 billion of us, they probably only want, what did it say on the Georgia Guidestones, 500 million? So then they just wipe everyone out, keep a few as their little slaves, and they've got their planet.
But even there's a contradiction in even that, because like they started with the Great Reset, introducing the Victorian prudy era, where like sex was was off the table. It was considered poor taste, not discussed, it was completely removed. But now their whole agenda is like sex.
Everyone just root each other.
Yeah, I mean, all of the subliminals, the entire economy is now founded on sex. Like, The music,
So,
Hollywood.
I mean, an interesting part of that is, you know, what's the next stage after that, right? After everyone's just running around rooting everyone and, you know, killing their babies and that. The next thing is we're back to the reset, right?
Yeah.
You get these adults who have no connection to each other, to family, to children, because they've lost the sacredness, right? They're just out there rooting, and babies are just an unforeseen consequence that, you know, I mean, look what they're telling people, right? You can get rid of them because it'll cost you money to raise it. Like they're literally saying that. How dare you have to pay to raise a child? Just kill it.
It's so confusing. So like
just
we've gone
this
from
is just not true for you, just an opinion. Sorry.
No, for sure. Like we've literally gone from being reset and what looks to be in a very placid, no fighting, no fucking, placid, no real connection to other, no connection to lover, no connection to wife, husband, child, family, sister, brother, blah, 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 into now 200 years on, we're all about fighting and fucking, and like, you know, the whole like the whole focus now of the agenda is on the family unit and splitting it apart and redefining the sexualities and all those things. And then, you know, I mean, like it's taken a lot of, you know, definitely in our lifetimes and, you know, the conscious community gathering I went to in Norfolk, like, you know, to everyone's credit, these guys were here fighting the sacred spiritual, or bringing the sacred spiritual like light to this realm, like 40 years before us, you know, like, you know, like as in it was they were freaky in their cultural age group. It was freaky what they were doing, like, you know, dressing in purple and, you know, holding their crystals and love and light. So I guess what I'm trying to like piece together is what would be the purpose. So, okay, the one theory that I had, which I think you've just like tapped on there, is that I agree. The most rational explanation is that it's a simulation, that it is a program that can be programmed in, which is very similar. Again, I refer to this, but very similar to like Dark City. They just had like those men dressed, tall, scary, dark elves dressed in black, just like programming into the change. In the movies like the Truman Show, you know, they would just like put it into the computer and, you know, bring that down into the population. The Mockingbird series, what was that called? The
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. Yeah. So through that series, it ended up being, you know, in a dome, and they were controlling it just as generally a computer program. So that would make the most amount of sense, because fucking
to kill
hell.
each other. If you think of like a dog breeder, right? They don't get their dogs and put them all in a cage and let them go for it, do they?
No.
They keep them apart, and they're like, this dog is going to mate with this dog because I want this result. I mean, is that what all this prudy stuff was about? Just so that the wrong people weren't making children, if you know, so that they weren't getting these powerful children. You know, they were getting, you know, trying to mix things up and make the offspring as controllable as possible. And just another, as a side point, is with the last reset, if we look into airships, I mean, you think about it, right? If everyone had access to an airship and something like what we're going through now was happening, and you knew there were free lands outside, everyone would just get in their airship and take off. They'd be like, oh, I'm over it, I'm going.
100%.
And so that kind of ties into why they had to take the airships away, right?
Yeah,
this is a control thing.
Pods. Yep.
All that tech that could free us or help us escape or whatever, that had to go.
All right, that makes total sense, because like I literally would not have bought a farm. I would have bought an airship, like 100%. If I had an option, we wouldn't be buying buses. We'd be buying Zeppelins. We wouldn't be buying, you know, acreage. We'd be buying like flying pirate ships for sure.
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to say is, look, what's happening now is everyone wants to escape the cities and go to the country. So it's the exact same thing, right? Except we just don't have the choice to go to further lands. Our only land we have the choice is in the known lands that we know about, right?
And those lands
are
coveted.
That same point, right?
And they're coveted. It's you can't do it unless you have shitloads of money and are all willing, have lined up enough to get a mortgage. Like it's not like we can just go and find land. It's like It's like a massive undertaking to do that. Like, as everyone knows, it's a really frustrating, expensive process. And a lot of our energy is spent trying to freaking work that out. Like, it's another big distraction, really, isn't it, at the end of the day? And at the end of the day, you know, we can spend the next 10 years regenerating this farm, but to whom are we doing that for? You know, like, we're just fixing up this realm for the people who've destroyed it to just take it back.
Exactly right. This is the thing. But yeah, I mean, back to the issue. If you know, if we were here now and you knew that if you wanted land here, you had to pay for it and you had to get a mortgage and then you had to comply with all the rules and all this kind of crap, you'd be like, no, there's free land that I don't have to pay for and there's no rules. Just 2 days that way in my airship, I'm out of here. You wouldn't even consider staying. You'd be gone. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, maybe it was a mass exodus, right? So are we the ones who and that's why they had to recreate the population, because most of them ran. They
so are we
their slave population, so they had to rebuild it.
I mean, like if you've caught into the Tartarian consciousness, I think it's probably, you've got a pretty good possibility that you were them and that you have and may potentially did escape. And this whole starseed agenda is us coming back to fix or rescue those that were left behind. That we do have a connection, being that we did escape, and yet it plagues our minds literally to know that there was so many that got trapped here and they weren't as lucky. Is that what a starseed is? Are we the ones that you know want to return to bring freedom back to this realm, to end this nightmare that's been going on? I mean, that's a question there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is, because if you know, if people did escape and there's other lands out there that are populated by, you know, the ancestor humans, shall we say, well, obviously they'd want to go back in and rescue, you know, their people, right? This happens in all wars. You know, you always go back. So the question is, how will they do that, right? What's the tech? Is that how they're getting it? You know, can they somehow, get this consciousness into a body and implant them in here? Because then what happens then is you've got this army, right, that no one knows is there, and then something happens and bing, all these people suddenly stand up and there's your army, right? Whereas if you try and move in, bring them in airships and that, you're going to have a battle, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. Is that what's going on here? Are we part of the covert, you know, covert rescue team?
I mean, look, like, I guess one of the things that I'd say you would agree to this, that they may have wiped out humanity or reset humanity, whichever word you want to say. But ultimately, this whole simulation, we are the batteries for. Like, if we're not present here, if our consciousness isn't present in the realm, then the realm is dead. It's like an empty video game. Like, there's no players. The game is pointless and it does nothing, and it's not being interacted with. It's not alive. It's not. And I guess for me, when I say alive, I mean it's not evolving. Like, if you remove the conscious creators, then nothing evolves forward, either in the good direction or the bad direction. Nothing evolves forward. And the analogy of the video games are a really good one, because you guys can all, like, imagine that a virtual video game with 0 players in it is a non-thing. It's a non-entity, that it ceases to be a relevant thing at all. There's no characters or players. So they had to bring us back in order to bring, like, life to the simulation. And so that's the reintroduction of it. And then the notion of the consistent bombardment of poisoning that's gone on is simultaneously, and wars and plagues and all the shit that has gone, because, like, you know, last night I was thinking, fuck, man, like, this is a flat still realm. Like, it is. That's what my eyes tell me. And in that flat still realm is a perfect weather system and a perfect clock and a perfect cyclic ecosystem, and every single thing that's happened that has been an extremity of all of those variables have not come from the mechanics of this plane. It's come from the manipulation in all manner of ways through this same hijacking force. So nothing we've experienced in our lifetime has been natural. Nothing has been natural except for one thing, Cambell. One thing I believe has been natural this whole lifetime. Can you guess what that is? Our fucking imaginations.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
That's it. That's the only organic faculty, I believe, that's natural to us, that hasn't been manipulated. And we can, you know, I think that's all we've got. I think everything that history's taught us, as we know, everything, every natural event, every weather event, every outcome, every point of extremity has been manipulated. And the only thing that's real to us
is imagination. That's why they need the press and the movies and the TVs and the school and so much indoctrination to make us think what they want us to think.
So much.
With our imaginations.
Yes.
That way we create the world for them.
Yes.
But we always have choice, right? Which is they always try and tell us we don't have choice. You don't. You just have to comply. That's just the way of the world. All these sayings, right? Just not I can remember any, but they don't want us to have, but we do. And this is the thing, that this new earth, this new experience, whatever, is really just a thought away. But of course, we have to get to the point where lots of people to change the bigger realm. But we can change our own realm, our own world now by changing our thoughts. That won't change the outside world because, there's another 7 billion people, right, thinking thoughts that are creating this reality. But as that changes, as we get enough people that are now thinking, well, I'm a creator, I want this, then things will change, which I think is why everything's so up in the air at the moment, because people are confused, right? Confused thoughts. Look at the world. It's confusing as, right?
Yeah. Crazy. And I think I asked you and JC last week, I was like, can you ever imagine, which funny, can you even conceive a limit to your imagination? Can you conceive an end to that? Like, is there any way you could imagine, I can't even use it without the word, is there any way you can conceive an end to what you can imagine? And the answer is no. Of course not. Of course not. And this leads us so interestingly into what are dreams, because we get, in the personal development community, speakers circuit realm, a big part of it is like, know your mission statement, know your vision. What is your dream? What is your dream? What is your goal? Like, bring it, force it into manifestation in this realm, but it feels it's so much hard work to do that. There's a lot of physical push and movement that you have to bring together in order to get a dream made manifest in this realm. But in actual fact, just that pathway when it comes to what are your dreams sort of distracts you from the concept that you're dreaming, and your literal dreaming at nighttime is actually the key to your imagination. And I know when I was taught how to use my psychic abilities, it was all based on the imagination. I could do a psychic reading for someone 3 hours non-stop, speaking out loud, and it was because I was so able to trust what my imagination was showing me and look at what was obvious about it and put it into words. And the imagination is probably the least, it's been so attacked at school, so attacked. It is the least focused on element of the spiritual community. It is the least focused on element of the Tartarian community. It is the least focused element of the truth-seeking community. We literally hardly ever come across sacred communication and insight and wisdom and expanded understanding and teachings on the topic of the imagination and the dreaming world. So, I feel like it's a specific key to understanding this reset. I feel like we're in that realm now. We have to do some much more. I love that we've called our series Achieving the Impossible Dream. I love that. I think that really symbolizes where this Tartarian consciousness has to take us. Because, Cambell, if we were to literally try to make this shit up, like what we've uncovered here, oh my God, Like the dreaming of the realm currently, whoever dreamed the hijack has done an extraordinary job. Like, we got to say their imagination, because we're always taught, so I'm talking a lot, we're always taught, Cambell, that the agenda, the hijackers have no capacity to create. That's what we're taught. We are taught that they are non-creator beings. But that's like, how is that possible when they've literally managed to hijack a whole race, completely reimagine history, reimagine education, reimagine humanity, reimagine the whole realm? And so, like, it appears that they have an extraordinary faculty for the imagination.
Well, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, and there's lots of issues, shall we say, with that whole, you know, the whole traditional self-help kind of you know, mindset and theology. I think a lot of people are starting to say there's issues with that at the moment. You know, this whole, I'll just be happy, everything's fine, everything, you know, blah blah blah. Don't do anything. Just sit there and just, you know, someone's going to come and save you, and all this kind of stuff. You know, we've got to think that well, we've got to understand that's probably part of the program too.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we think that the enemy is not creative, well, that kind of puts us in a depowering position, right? Because we're underestimating them. Oh, look, we're the smart ones. We're the only ones that can create. We'll just sit here and think, and they can't do shit. And they're sitting there going, ha 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 ha, look what we're doing. Look at the world. And so there's so much, you know, that we've been taught all these things, and this is what they do, right? They teach you school, and then you go, it's all bullshit. So they give you self-help, and you go, oh, the truth. But most of that's bullshit too. And this is the trap. So we've got to really start to, and it's the whole thing, right? Define who we are, where we are, what are we imagining, what's going on here, without it's trying to see the world, but not looking through the lenses of the world, isn't it?
Oh, it's an interesting one. This thing with the self-help personal development movement is there's so much gold in there. Oh my God. I mean, I've done a lot of it. There's so much energy. Everyone I meet who's been through those channels, they're very authentic people, you know, they've really done some good work, but at the same time, it leads you kind of on this treadmill where you're just like, I just haven't quite got it yet. I just have to do more affirmations. I have to do more meditation. I just haven't quite got it yet. I haven't quite reached that accolade or achieved that goal. I haven't quite got there. There's like an endless sort of like treadmill there with the self-help movement. But like, I think, Cambell, that we have yet to really understand what the imagination is. Like, define it to me. How would you define currently? How would you define the imagination?
That's a good question. I mean, really, I would say that the imagination is, I don't think it's thinking. I think we're actually going somewhere, right? We're going into a different creative realm, if you want to call it that way. I mean, what's the imagination? Because it's definitely not pictures. It's not, you know, it's much more complex than that, isn't it? And the other thing about imagination is it's not run by us 100%. Now, we can imagine things, but a lot of the times in imaginations and dreams, that unexpected things come in, right? So to me, it's almost like we're going to a different realm. It's almost like the ayahuasca, you know, they take it and they end up in this different realm with, you know, dragons and stuff. Kind of the same concept. So I think we're going somewhere. And I guess we're back to that question, is that reality, right? Can we go to sleep and have the same dream over and over and over and over again and forget who we really are? Because I mean, how often do we hear that? We've forgotten who we are. It's all, we're living in the dream. It's all,
wake up, the great awakening, the great awakening, wake up. Are we literally waking up from our dream, waking up from the real world into the real world? Like, you know, are we literally trying to wake up from this, thinking this is being awake? Like, to me,
exactly.
If I was to define the imagination, I can only grasp it a few terms. Like, one would be, it's fluid. There's a fluidity there. There's a fluidity there. There's a lack of density there. There's a lack of restrictions there. You know, you can really, you know, go anywhere in the imagination, do anything, experience anything, you know, bring any sort of, you know, partnership together, every sort of combination of anything. You can literally, conceptualize. So it's very fluid. It's very powerful. Like, I mean, when I've been dreaming, I've I've done crazy stuff in my imagination, like, crazy whole detailed worlds and realms and cultures and peoples and, every single, like, and I can tell the difference when my subconscious mind is influencing my dreaming. I can tell the difference. Like, I know when I wake up, if my dreams sort of, being like an anxiety or leftover thought process from the day before, where I'm, trying to figure out how to build a pigsty, for example, like I can see how that's come into my dreams. But, outside of that, like I also, have marvelous, amazing experiences. And like the other night I was very fantastical. The other night I was like going up this, like winding around this amazing mountain, which is full of like these little tea houses and these little bridges and these little entities, and it was all lit up with like it was an extraordinary realm. And I've never seen that before. I've never thought about that before, and I certainly hadn't seen any images of that. So that is pure imagination going on. It's effortless when you're dreaming it. It's effortless. It's fluid.
I agree.
It's like,
hang on, I'm just gonna run to the toilet quickly.
That's funny. Yeah, so I mean, like, I think this is a really interesting topic for us Tartarian hunters to look at now. Like, we've gathered enough evidence for the buildings. We've gathered enough evidence for the giants, for the wiped out civilization. We've gathered enough evidence for there being some form of a reset. But like, we haven't like got, I guess, a strong indication, or we haven't quite uncovered what actually happened to the population. And potentially we won't know that until we go through the next one. Or maybe it'll start coming through in our dreams, or maybe we are seeing them in dictated in the movies and TV series that, so many of them are showing us, genetically modified humans, artificial wombs, like, bodies like being grown underground, like so much of that's happening. But the imagination, I truly believe, is the key now to unfolding the next level of clues or information. Because if we line this all up, this hijacking agenda, they've done what would seem to be the absolute impossible. From a human's perspective, there's no way we would have the ability to deconstruct a whole civilization, reset a whole civilization, recreate a whole reimagine education, reimagine history, reimagine the culture, like introduce all the companies, the food, the clothes, all of that all at once, and do it across the whole realm. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible. And yet it's happened. If we're on the right track, because we've got to hold a healthy cynicism here. Like, there is a potential that we are not on the right track. Well, I mean, like, we've got to acknowledge that, Cambell. Like, there's so much, I've frozen, or Campbell's frozen. There's so much evidence pointing in our direction, but it's not definitive.
No. So, I mean, this is the thing. If you were going to hijack like a population, is that the only way you could do it is through the dream, right? Because everything, all the movies, right? The Dark City, the Matrix, everything is to do with you're in that dream state. You're not
waking up from
and
the
moving,
dream.
right? You're asleep, connected to machines, right? Because that's what they can manipulate, rather than to manipulate the real, real physical world.
Waking up from the dream.
And we all live in nations, right? We all live in these that they call nations, which is imagination without the image.
I feel like smoking a cigarette. Maybe it's because my mind wants to think deeper about this. I definitely have, like, I want us to keep talking, and thank you for staying with us, audience, because like in order to get to sort of the heart of this sort of line of thinking, we just got to chew on it for a bit. So you're chewing on it with us. So I'd love to hear your comments right now in the chat with Cambell. Like, there is so much to sort of bring to this concept. Now, we like Australia being a marvelous key to all of this. Like, did you know, Cambell, that side note, that Australia is like has 144 more chemical poisons in our food chain than any other country in the world, that Australia has legalized. Yeah, 144 banned chemicals. Now, I'm reading all this and thinking, you know, the countries that have banned them, they're not banning them to protect us. Like, don't think that they're doing some fucking good thing to protect us. That's why I can't stand this whole environmental world. But at the same time, Australia's certainly not hiding the fact that they're like literally, you know, like using chemicals and poisons that are completely harmful. But here we are standing. The Queen is officially removed from the consciousness, probably a long time ago, but just formally recently on my birthday. Actually, I don't know if we even talked about that.
Oh wow, really?
On my birthday. Can you believe that? Far out.
Rude.
By the way, if you're going to smoke tobacco, everyone, if you're in our audience, you need to be smoking Manitou organic tobacco. Like you should, you should not be smoking anything but that. I mean, I can't believe anyone would anymore.
Because it's got no chemicals, sprayed on it.
It's organic,
Yeah, organic.
Whatever that means. Whatever that means.
Well. Yeah, I mean, organic, right? It's like every single thing in the realm is organic because it all came from the realm. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So that's
true. And this is the spell magic they use, right?
Yeah.
They just put that word organic on an orange and they can charge you double the price.
Yeah. So my point of all of that is that here we are in Australia, this really interesting dynamic, because we have the Indigenous who call it the dreaming. They literally call all of their stories the dreaming. You know what? While I smoke this ceremonial, I'm going to put it onto my bush background. I think it feels like it's more appropriate. I can get away with it more. Yeah, there we go.
Ceremony.
Doesn't that feel like I'm allowed to smoke now? I've got this fucking shit behind me.
Yeah, keep cleaning those things. And this photo, what street is this? This is Melbourne, is it?
This is New York.
This picture?
New York.
Oh, it is New York, okay. This is one of those ones that just looks like a stage. It's so clean.
I know.
These photos, literally, they look like they've had people sweep the streets before they put the photo. Like they're literally like stages. They're the buildings that they're completely spotless and clean. It's really, really weird. And there's a group of these kind of photos around this time, and they're just bizarre, right? They're literally like stage sets.
100%. And
I don't even know what.
Let me show you this one in Melbourne. I was going to put it in our background, but let me just screen share. Just side note while we're chewing on the imagination. All right. So this is interesting. This is, have you seen this one? This is Sydney. Look at that.
So that's the Garden Palace, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the fort, right? Was that a fort? Is that where they built the Opera House? Was that on a fort? Was that Fort Macquarie? Is that right?
I don't know, but you can see the wall. You can see the wall in both the pictures.
The wall.
And then just the massive missing
both of them,
landscape there. I just thought that was interesting. It's not what I want to show you, but there's Sydney realm. All right. So, I mean, look how much they've taken down. They've taken down so much.
I know.
Crazy. Anyway, Sydney, look at that beautiful thing.
This is the thing. Imagine if they came up and they went, oh, we're going to knock over the Sydney Opera House. It's a bit, it's not looking the best. We're going to replace it. People would lose their shit.
Yeah.
But the Garden Palace, no. Actually, they burnt it down, didn't they? They burnt that one.
Yeah. Just some artwork, some giant artwork. Yeah. I like to look at these illustrations. Yeah.
And it shows you the clothing as well, right? How intricate it all was.
Oh, yeah.
And it just went into black suits and top hats.
Crazy. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. I'm getting there. There. This is Flinders Street, 1909.
1909.
Yeah.
But
look, I mean, this is not on the topic of the dreaming, but like, look at how much they had to deconstruct. I mean, these guys, like, honestly, the only way they could have done this is through like a program. It's the only way. Which, like, so Tartaria should in itself prove that we are in a simulation. everything we know about Tartaria should prove to us that they have, that the reset is a simulation shift. It's a simulation level shift, that they have written it into the program. Like, it's just crazy, the deconstruction that's happened. Not only, this is one street in Melbourne, like one street, like this is across the entire realm. Anyway, that's just a side note. Back to the imagination.
Completely.
I love this Facebook page. People have
seen, like, every antenna pretty much got taken off, didn't it? Every, you know, some buildings completely, the whole facade. That's a lot of work.
Oh, so much work.
Brilliant.
So I guess what I'm alluding to here, I'll stop the share. Back to the bush. Because look at the difference in our backgrounds now. Like, where we've come from to where I stand now. And where I stand now is in degraded land.
Is another thing. Yeah. But I mean, also humans tend to do better in nature, right? But
yes, fucking oath. And, or I don't know if I've frozen or Campbell's frozen. The thing is, like, we never see images from the broader realm. Obviously, it's always focused in on the cities. So we always see
in cities, right? We seem to do a lot better in nature. So that's another thing, right?
And
if we were so advanced, would we really be living in apartments in a city, right? I mean, that doesn't kind of make sense.
Yeah, that's why I believe that Tartaria was airborne. I think it was 100% airborne, because otherwise we'd see so much more integration in the natural environment. Why wouldn't we? Their natural environment makes so much more sense if it was of the air. And then, of course, all of the weather manipulations and all that stuff has been focused in on the air. And of course, now we know that we need to be focusing in on the sky, that the civilization seemed to have disappeared into the skies. And I think that's in alignment with the Australian Indigenous dreaming stories, that there were two suns and there was entities from the sky.
Yeah, what were the Toltecs? Maybe they just had a fleet of airships and they didn't disappear into the sky, like they disappeared into the sky, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. And then with all this HARP stuff and chemtrails and all the stuff in the sky, I mean, is that to confuse, I mean, HARP, right? Is that to confuse navigation systems of people who may be coming in from other outer lands? I mean, you know, is that a defense system, you know? Because they wouldn't tell us what it was. So, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, the more we get into this, we start to understand the story that we've been told, even the story that we think we've worked out, even that's not, you know, we're still a long way from the truth, right? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But until we can break a lot of this preconceived stuff and get it out of our heads, we're not going to be able to ask the right questions. You know, if we're running along on autopilot, then we're stuffed.
And also, like, we've got a lot of preconceived notions about the imagination. Let's talk about those. Like, we've got a lot of programming in and around that as well. That it's like intangible, that it's lofty, that it's not the realm of the physical, that it's not the realm. We're taught to bring forward manifestation and create it in the physical, but that's actually hard work. I mean, yes, we can see miracles, manifestation, symbols. You know, a lot of us see consistently the numbers 111, 222, 333, 444. Like, that's a consistent. That I think all of our audience would say, yes. We're always seeing like numbers aligning, which makes sense if we're in a simulation. Hello, of course, that's what we would be seeing. Numbers aligning. We see things happen in our realm that are miracles and miraculous and exciting. But very rarely do you see, say, the capacity of what you can dream about when you're asleep make manifest here in the realm. Like, and that's why Tartaria has captured so many people's imagination, literally, because it's suddenly like, oh my God, like I didn't think this is impossible.
Well, just think about airships, you know, like what we had as a concept of airships. I mean, most of us today, you know, just thought, you know, blimps, right? The Goodyear blimp, but we all know about the Zeppelin. Yeah. But we kind of thought that there were these big things with maybe like a little control box underneath that might hold 10 people, and it's like, what's the point of that? But now we know that there were these floating hotels, right, that were going everywhere, and are luxurious, and none of them ever blew up that we know of, right? I mean, you can look into all these airships. We've got one which was clearly done on purpose that went down. So yeah, I have no idea where I was going there, but that's right, conception. So yeah, this is just how they box us in. This is this, but when we start to see a bit more, then our imagination can go and extrapolate.
Exactly. And we talked a little bit last week with JC about the idea that, you know, our imagination has been definitely guided into the pathway of AI. Like the great creators, the musicians, the artists, the poets, the writers, anyone doing anything creative has sort of like funneled that creativity into the computer, into the fucking computer. Like, you know, even with like the National Region Ag Day, I have to do a website, I have to do all this marketing, it's all on the fucking computer. Like, and it's so far removed from actually getting out into the garden and like building a freaking pig house, you know, like it's so removed. But me going out and doing a pig house, like that's not going to define a national movement. Like it's all centered on AI. Yep. Yeah,
that's the dichotomy that we're into, and of course there's this whole big AI art thing going on at the moment. But yeah, I mean, should we be running all of our imagination through computers? Because isn't that just them trying to get more information on us and how we work and what we're thinking and all this kind of stuff? It's really just to control us better.
And us, Cambell.
And this is the dichotomy. We all want to get out and start these things, but we need to connect with each other still. So I think at the moment it's a time thing, right? We need to use stuff, but if we're focusing completely on one thing, then, you know.
And that's why, to me, it's so important to like get out from behind the computer and do these live events. Like we actually have to transcend this AI connection to our community, like that our only connection to you guys is here via this thing. That like Cambell and I could be having these conversations on the phone and like enlightening ourselves and just chatting away and having a beer and like going through all this stuff. But, you know, then we wouldn't be interacting with the broader community. And that's in itself is a marvelous, magnificent outcome of having this access to this technology. But, you know, like at the end of the day, we got to get out from behind these Zooms. And like, there's so few YouTubers who are actually willing to get out of from behind the screen and stand and speak live, you know? So like, I hope that we start to see a much bigger push there across all board.
Yeah, and this is what we talk about all the time, you know? When enough people are focusing on the same thing, then we can get a lot of change happening. And this is how we do it, right? We get everyone together who's of like minds, and we focus our energy. And I think that's how we, and of course, you know, what do they not want us doing?
Yeah, gathering
in groups, right? That's what 2 years about, you know?
Hello. So what do you, like, if you can imagine for a second, Cambell, let's play on this. If you can imagine, like the people coming out of that reset. So just imagine you've woken up, you've got a whole new set of memories. You feel like you've got an ancestral timeline. You feel like you've come from somewhere. All those memories been implanted in you, and you're just sort of like wake up and you're in New York City. And you're just there, and this is like gigantic city all around you. Like you're looking around, it's just like you've got this memory that this is where you're meant to be, that this is your home, this is your city. Like, but like potentially you don't have access to your imagination, and potentially that imagination had to like, it took a long time for it to come back. Maybe that imagination was really affected. Like, did they even dream back then? Did they have a concept of dreams? Like, was that even a thing? Like, you know, like the idea of dreams, like we don't even know if that's just been, you know, available to us in the last 50 years, 100 years. Like, we don't know how long the human race has had dreams when they sleep.
Yeah, we don't know if that's natural at all. that could literally be the program, right? That we've got this split existence, you know, like for all we know, that's not and that's what the vapor canopy, right? I don't think people weren't really sleeping, were they? They were just awake all the time. There was no nighttime. And we're sort of told we need to recharge, right? Recharge, you know, there's that charge within charge, you know, so we really have to question everything without, well, to question things properly, you need to get rid of all the crap in your mind, right? Which is all this stuff we've been taught.
I mean, sorry, go on. Yep.
I was going to say, it's everything. It's everything.
It's everything.
We don't have that many. We don't have many unique thoughts.
I mean, has there even ever been any proper studies on dreaming? Like, as in, like, we don't know if our parents. I mean, have you ever asked your mum and dad if they dreamt when they were like it was dreaming a thing? Was dreaming a thing for our grandparents? Like, did they even have dreams? Like, is that something that, you know, like, is new? Is it something that came out after 100 years past the reset? Is that a natural evolution?
Yeah,
because our mandate is to be the creator. Exactly. Like, did the reset end our ability to dream for a period of time? Like, was that how they were enabling this sort of like reset and memory wipe? They removed, because like, if you look at the movies, you know, again, like the Truman Show, like the Dark City, like, you know, they weren't going to sleep and having fantastical dreams that contradicted their reality. They, you know, that's not what's shown to us. They go to sleep, everything's changed around them, and they wake up and they get up. There's no, like, you know, and I guess that's when, and it's confusing as well, because one would say that the dreamers of the realm would have been characteristically the creators, the artistic people, the beautiful ones that wrote the symphonies or wrote the great literature or painted the great masterpieces. But we now understand that the majority of those people weren't even probably real, and they were part of the fabrication, and that most of that extraordinary work came out of a more potentially advanced technology that enabled this sort of beautiful artwork or beautiful music or beautiful, you know, or insightful literature. It didn't seem to potentially come from the humanity that we know today. And of course, we've never been able to replicate it ever since. There's been a severe drop in what we consider art or music or literature, you know, or great
creativity.
plays.
I mean, yeah, that's, I mean, and that's when you look at it, you know, now that you mention it, you know, again, 1700s, everything was art, it was over the top, it was creativity, expression. Then you hit the 1800s, everything's black and white photography for starters, everyone's wearing black and white, everyone's wearing the same, they got their hats on. Everything, like the horse buggies are now just these stripped wooden stupid carts, right?
Exactly.
Where 50 years before they were these ornate bloody chariots.
God, amazing.
Right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so literally that's literally what they took, right? The imagination. I mean, you can see it in the pictures.
Yes.
From the people that were all creative to these people who couldn't create anything. They could just be told stuff.
Yeah, you don't see anyone like coming out in any of those pictures in like a unique outfit, for example. If we just look at the fashion, like, you don't see a diversion there of what they're dressed like. And you do see this massive drop in creative output. And actually the majority of content that came out after the reset was basically the agenda. It was all the books about the orphan. It was the books, it was a cultural programming, literature. The art has now, our status in the art world is so degraded. It's ridiculous. Like, what sells now for $200,000 is like a banana skin stuck to a canvas. Like, it's unbelievably ridiculous. I can't even, like, going into an art gallery these days, you just think, wow, man, like, what the fuck happened to us, you know?
Modern art, modern art.
And modern architecture.
I mean, modern art's just, all modern art is a money laundering system, really. Really, right? It's just a way for rich people to just send money around without paying tax on it. Yeah, but this is what's been right, and then they come along and they try and give us these art genres, right? And they try and then box up your creativity. oh, this is this kind of art, this is this kind of art. What kind of an artist are you? What kind of music do you, why can't you just like music? Why do you have to be into whatever, right? Into a certain realm? Because they're trying to box up the creativity as well. They try and compartmentalize everything.
And potentially
and
they
tell you
removed
how far you can think.
Potentially they removed the technology that had come out of great imaginations that facilitated great imagination. Like potentially the tech around the imagination has been also constructed. Like we see the imagination as being, innate to us, which it is, but we see it as being something that is like left to our own devices mentally. But, like we look at a civilization that was very much integrated in transferring their imagination into their realm, like very much integrated there. And if this is a simulation, then it would make sense that they had amazing technology that facilitated that. I remember as a child, I loved the idea. I think I probably read it in a Roald Dahl book or something, where you could like go to sleep and your dreams would be typed up as you're sleeping. Like you'd wake up to like the novel of your dream. Like it's literally transferred right from your consciousness through technology into the written word. And that would transcend also to your imagination into the canvas or onto the, the composition. Like there was technology that facilitated that. We know that, like the great art movement of the 17th, 15th, 16th, 17th century was way past what we can achieve today. And is it just that the technology that supported that has been deconstructed? Or, I mean, if it's simulation, that would make total sense. The imagination had tech that supported it. And now we just left.
I mean, look, all those, the psychic mirror things, where the faces appear.
Yes.
Is that some kind of dream or imagination technology?
Yes.
Rather, it doesn't necessarily have to be ghosts, right? It could be, maybe they were watching someone's dream. Maybe they're watching their own dream.
Exactly.
Who knows? But this is the thing. We don't really know what all this tech did. We've got ideas, but all the ideas we have are based from where we are now and the tech we have now that works. That's our reference point for the past. But I mean, that doesn't mean it's real. I mean, that's a bad reference point, right? We've just explained that they've taken half of everything away at least.
And you just tapped on something there, like we as an imaginative cultural society, like today our imagination is probably working at its most limited potentially, but also the technology has also been deconstructed. And within that, we have no sense of our imagination being the everything. We have no set. We have a lofty concept of it, but we have no sense. We have no sense that our dreams aren't mined. Like our dreams could definitely be mined and monitored every single night. Like our dreaming could be the thing that indicates to the hijackers what they need to do next to counteract it. Like, if we're all tapped into some sort of, simulation, either against our will or with our will, and I would say that JC would say definitely with our will, but whether we're aware of that will or not, if we're tapped in and every single night they're monitoring it and seeing it, and then able to see the collective dreaming and what's the most influential energy that's coming through, then they might go, right, well, we need some trauma, some worldwide trauma right now. The dreaming's got too light filled or too positive, and that is where they come in with these events that brings everyone, like we're in right now, brings everyone down to a really stressful situation where people are going to bed exhausted. I mean, that is definitely something that you would say is true of this realm. Like they really do get people to sleep exhausted. They make people work very long hours for very little money that solves none of their problems. No one's ever at ease. No one's ever got more than they need. Like it's always a fight for survival. And that's been consistent of the last 150, 200 years. People work really hard and go to bed exhausted. And how many people actually do dream these days?
Well, that's it. And all the studies, they're just on sleep, aren't they? They're not on dreams.
Yep.
It's on making sure you can sleep properly. And if you've got sleep apnea and all, it's not on dreaming. I mean, I'm sure there's been some studies, they've done studies on REM and all this kind of stuff. But as far as, getting people and asking them what they dreamt and how that affected them, and then, monitoring them to see if any of that actually manifests over time, nothing like that's ever been done.
No.
Which kind of shows you, that they put so much resources into certain things that they want to know about, and then other ones, nothing. And then that kind of tells us that there's got to be something important there, right? Because they don't want us looking. So again, is that the control?
What do we do about all this is the question. And I know, like, all I've got in my head about all of this is that this is why it's so important to like keep talking about Tartaria as a consciousness, keep like bringing people together and keep expanding their dream time together. Like, it's, like the Indigenous are very strong on that. Their dream time's protected. They're coming together is very sacred. When they enter the dream time landscape, it's very sacred. It's a thing that happens. It's not like it's just random and left to chance. And we as a culture don't sort of, I guess, in the sacred communities, when people gather, it's more sacred and more protected. But like, do we gather around?
But we have no reverence. No, we have no reverence at all for dreaming or for the nighttime, reality at all, do we?
No.
It's just this thing, that most people literally just fall into bed tired, and most of the time it's after staring at a TV or a computer screen, so their brain's going off its thing, and then they can't sleep, and so everything sort of also seems to be, put in place so that we don't remember our dreams or dream very much, doesn't it? Again,
and it's not like we have a culture that talks about dreams. Like, I mean, how often do you wake up and share your dream with someone? How often do you wake up and go, oh my God, that's a crazy dream, blah, 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 blah. Like, most people are like, oh, shut up, I don't want to hear about your dream. You're like, because they don't see it as any significance, important, or have any
it's completely insignificant. That doesn't mean anything.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I mean, really, how can
I mean, at the end of the day, are you frozen, Cambell, or I've frozen? At the end of the day, like, the people energies that have hijacked this realm, they had a very strong fucking dreaming. Very strong dreaming.
So I think one of the biggest things that we could do, I mean, apart from obviously writing down your dreams, which has been talked about for a long time, you get a dream book, write them down when you wake up. But having, a nighttime ritual is what we don't have, right? Spending half an hour or 40 minutes or an hour before you go to bed and slowing your body down, getting some water in it, getting ready for sleep. That's something that's a weird concept, who talks about that, right?
Yes.
But when you think about it, that's a third of our life.
Yes.
Probably should get ready for that journey. Where am I going tonight? Wow, and rather than just this, oh my God, I've got to be up in 6 hours, I better go to bed,
Exactly. It's not a sacred ritual. Exactly. Same. It's not a sacred ritual. And yet when we wake up, we all have a ritual. We wake up, we go to the toilet, we make a cup of tea or a coffee, we stretch, we get ready for the day ahead. There's a ritual involved, whether it's sacred or not, there's a ritual involved, but we don't share the same ritual for the sleep time. Like the sleep time. So I'm going to start theorizing that the dream time part of our reality is either what would be like a glitch in the matrix, like a glitch, like it's been something that's like occurred that has been the significant foundation for the Great Awakening. The dream landscape of sleep has something that has come through as we've started to awaken. I don't think potentially it was there at the beginning of the reset. And I think we lose the dreaming. And it's like, it's significant when, say, the generations start to dream again, which I certainly are one of those people. And like also that the dream side of things is the one side of things that they put all our attention away from, and maybe the most fundamental and the only thing that we should be looking at.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I mean, like we've said, there's just so little focus put on it in everything, right? In conversation, in society, and in research.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much a big pointer to say, look here, we know how this works, right? Where they don't want you to look is where you should be looking. But they kind of do tell us in the movies, don't they? With Dark City, it's all about dreams. With there's all these different Inception, going down the different levels, all these kind of dream state things that they tell us about. So,
and what do they always signify?
What do you think?
They always signify in those movies that like people can manipulate and alter your dreams, and whole realities can shift as a response. And yet, even in the spiritual world, like in the spiritual circles and the sacred work that everyone does, like, really the amount of attention on our dreams is minuscule, 1% less, so minuscule. Like, that they've done an amazing job basically ignoring it and deleting our focus and consciousness on it. Like, hello, every single night we go to bed and enter this dreamscape and wake up and just accept it as some like bizarre thing that happens to us that, like, we don't understand it, and we just accept it, and it just goes on unquestioned.
Literally a third of our life.
Yeah.
But, I mean, also think of little kids, right? When a little kid wakes up, and they've had a nightmare, what mummy and daddy come in, and what's the first thing they say?
Just a dream, sweetheart.
It's just a dream.
Yep, just a dream. It's not real.
Not real.
It's not real. That's what we hear. We've heard that all our lives. It's not real. It's not real. The fact that you do it, the fact that 1/3 of your life is spent doing it, makes it very fucking real. It's very fucking real. It's very real. It's so real. And the fact that we've been like, I hope by the end of this podcast, everyone is going, oh my God, the dreaming side of my life is so fucking real. And I've never given it any like weight or attention, and never held it up as anything important to my life. I just get up and let it fade away and get on with the stresses of my life. And I repeat this cycle every day, forever, for my whole life. And like, have no, like, when do you ever read spiritual books or sacred books like the Bible, even like books like of that sort of renown that even talk about dreaming? Does anyone out there know if the Bible has ever talked, or if there's ever any concept of the dreaming in the Bible or any spiritual books?
Leave us a comment if you do know, because that'd be interesting. It's definitely talked about in like traditional cultures. The dreaming, especially Australian originals, that the dream time's a massive thing, and but then in the mainstream religion, it's disappeared, right? It's like literally, like, I've never ever heard a priest mention a dream.
No. No.
What? They just don't, right? And the other thing is, just because things aren't physical doesn't mean they're not real.
Oh, hello.
This is the thing, right? You get these people, and we have these emotional response. Something bad happens or something good, and you have this massive emotional response. You're happy and jumping out of your skin. And people go, that's real. I was that happy. It was amazing. And what about your dreams? Oh no, they're not real. It's the exact same thing. It's something you're experiencing here that's not physical, but one's real and one's not. I mean, this is another trick, right? They've got us believing unless you can, use your 5 senses to, interact with it, it's not real.
Yeah.
Is that true though?
Exactly.
I mean, if that's true, then why do we get scared of nightmares? Why do people wake up scared if they're not real?
Yep. And what's sleep paralysis? Like, I've experienced that one time. Let me tell you the story. One time my whole life I've experienced sleep analysis. And what actually happened was I was in bed and I was having this dream, and I was being led under the pyramids by the Anubis to my death. And it was a really scary, I was really feeling that I was in the dream. I was really feeling that I'd been caught, that I was being led to my death. I knew I was about to go under the pyramids and come out into like this massive auditorium underground of people cheering for my death. Like, I could feel it. And it was really stressful and terrifying. And I tried to wake up. I remember trying to wake up and I couldn't wake up. I was paralyzed. I couldn't wake up. and it was getting really stressful. And so this went on, and right at the like going down this passageway, right at the end, I like turned to my hand, and on my hand was a fluorescent blue symbol. I can still remember it. And I shone my hand at the Anubis that were like taking me to this place to sacrifice me. And then this big flash of light, once I showed them my hand, and I woke up. Now, the thing that was interesting about that is that my partner at the time, must have been disturbed by my energy, had got up, gone to the bathroom, had come back to the bedroom, was standing in the doorway at the very moment that I woke up. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning, of course. And that's an interesting point. 3 o'clock in the morning does seem to be a thing, connecting the dream world with the waking world. That's something to look at. And that's interesting. And is that true? If we had full light, if there was no darkness and we were in a time where there was only light, would 3 a.m. be also that moment in time where that sort of the realms were like able to be accessed more? But anyway, side note. So at that moment of me like get out of bed, like from this stressful dream, and my partner's in the doorway and turns, has not spoken to me, turns, points to the corner of our room and says, "Oh my God, there's a giant dog-headed entity in the corner of our room." Like that's what I woke up to. And in that moment, I was like, holy fuck, what is the real world and what is dream time? Because I just had this very stressful dream nightmare, and I don't have them very, very, very rare, very, very rare that I will have any sort of nightmarish dream. And then for that to be transferred to the waking world where my partner who knew nothing about it could see that in our bedroom. Like, what the fuck is that? Did I access a timeline gate? Did I access a portal? Did I open up a mirror or a doorway? Was it a transference of consciousness? Like, what happened in that moment? And I've got a few random examples like that. So I just think that's really interesting. And that's
very interesting. Yeah, the dream state can come into the physical kind of thing. I mean, wow.
That's how powerful our dreams can be, but we don't give them any kudos or credit or acknowledgement or conversation or wisdom or books or sacred work or theories or anything. It's just like you do it. So what? Wake up. That's just a dream. Fucking get back to reality. Like, and yet everything that Tartaria is taking us down, every pathway is, you know, we are watching literally the impossible dream being made manifest on our realm. So Cambell.
We are. And just this research is showing us, right, when we try and use imagination and stretch out a bit more and dream a bit more, that society just wants to shut you down, right? No. Everything's black and grey and boring. Shut up. Don't look there. So
yeah,
which side do you want to be on?
It's really funny. It's really interesting that like we've come through such an extraordinary culture before the takeover, and then suddenly everything's in black and white. Like, did you see? I know, isn't that funny? Like, did you see the movie Pleasantville? Do you remember that movie Pleasantville?
Yeah.
And what?
Start off with black and white.
Yeah, so if anyone's not watched that, it's worth it, because it really does show what we're in. Like, everything starts in black and white, and then one of the characters starts to, I guess, wake up, and as he does, like, he becomes full color, and then so he's walking around as full color being in a black and white culture, which is so classic. Like, look at us right now, we're in full color. Behind us are the images we have of our history, and they're all in black and white. And the steampunk movement.
I know, right? I mean, the whole black and white photo thing, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because they kind of say, oh no, but you know, it's easy to get light and shadow. But when you look at the photos behind us, I mean, they're pretty bloody intricate, aren't they?
Yep.
I mean, are they really that far from, if you could get it that precise and that much definition, I'm pretty sure you could.
It was deliberate. Deliberate. Of course it was deliberate. Of course.
Completely deliberate.
Yeah. So there you go. We got reset and we re-entered a black and white realm, a flat 2D black and white realm landscape. And everything appears to be of the same color code. The fashion, the culture, all in this black and white Pleasantville scheme.
Yes, I just lost you for a minute.
Yeah, that's all right. The Rainbow Bridge. And then
so there we go. So we got
the
black and white with pink, bit of pink in there. So we're starting to put some colour into it.
All right, well, guys, I think that was a long but interesting conversation. I hope a little bit insightful on like looking at this thing that happens to us every single fucking day that we put no attention on, and like actually starting to, you know, really like integrate our conversations within our communities and our families, and, you know, here on our podcast, Cambell, about the nature of dreams and how they actually are probably the key element to this, like this, I don't even want to say the word great awakening, but it's so like ironic that that's what it's called, the great awakening, when I'm standing here saying, you know, the key to it is our dreams.
Wake up, all this kind of stuff.
So I guess one of the techniques that would be very interesting, which I know a few of my teachers have talked about, is learning to wake up within the dream state. I actually bought last year, I asked for one of my birthday presents to be these I guess it's like goggles, like this goggle band, this band that goes over my eyes, and you can program it that at night it flashes these red lights, and it, like, as it indicates any movement in your being, it so starts flashing these, like, to wake you up within your dreamscape, to literally make you conscious within your dreaming. And like, these are like, you can buy these glasses. So I didn't have much. Yeah, look, I only tried it for a little bit. They're definitely out there. I tried it for a little bit, and then obviously, like, a lot of stuff, anyway, they're packed up now in a box in a shed in Melbourne, far away from me. But the point is that there is technology on the market that facilitates, probably very clumsily, facilitates actually us learning to wake up within our dreams. Once we wake up within our dreams, then that's when we truly step into our creative power. Because you can go anywhere, be anything, do anything, see anything, know anything in your dreams.
And if you told a child that from day dot, oh yeah, no, dreams, you control your dreams. Yeah, no, you get to do what you want. Would everyone lucid dream, right? Because we're told it's just a dream. So
and if we
don't have control.
If we master lucid dreaming, Cambell,
then
then would we not be able to do our podcast within the lucid dreaming space? Like, imagine if you and I did a podcast within our dream. Holy fuck. And then we're able to access, oh my God, any knowledge.
To other people, lucid dreaming.
That would be insane. Like, and we would be able to access any single bit of knowledge about Tartaria. All the missing pieces we'd be able to access within that lucid, being awake within our dreams. Like, that's the key to the information. Like, all of everything we're doing is, But then we don't know.
Because we're literally researching the overlay, right? The program.
Yeah.
Because that's all we can.
Yep. So, like, it's very interesting with the idea, because if we were able to, I mean, this is the imagination. If we were able to collab and like actually wake up consciously within our dreams, find each other, and then do a fucking podcast, the next thing that we would have to work out is how to then transfer that into this, that here. We'd be able to remember it, but like, imagine if we could record it. Holy mother of God.
Well, this is the thing. If you could get together and talk, right? Goodbye censorship, right? Goodbye everything. There's no way the government can stop people gathering and spreading information if they're meeting in the dream state.
Oh my God. So we try to do all of that in the physical world. We have these sacred ceremonies, these sacred circles, we take drugs, we do all these things that try to facilitate us getting into that physically here. But we do nothing about doing it when we're asleep, like doing it in the dreamscape, where actually we know everything's fluid and we have access to all information at all times throughout all history.
Yeah.
Wow.
and do it from the physical rather than the imagination. That's
I think
bizarre.
Tartaria
Okay.
Australia should actually design dreaming product goggles to wake us up, We should actually do that.
Let's do that. And any lucid dreamers or people who teach that kind of stuff, leave us a comment below. Or if you make these glasses, send us a pair.
We should
will accept
definitely,
them.
yeah, we should be interviewing some lucid dreamers and seeing how we can apply. Because imagine, like, at the least, if we could get ourselves to be lucid dreamers, then we could at least access our questions within that dream site and then bring that through our memories. We could then bring that through into talking about it in this world. Like, that's pretty amazing stuff. That's like way out there. That's fucking out there, man. Like, you know, you want to be a truth seeker, fucking hell. Like,
you know, I was going to say, if you want to be like explorers, right?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, well, let's go explore there. New realms.
Yes.
New horizons.
I mean, that is the great frontier. It's not the waking world. Like, we're going to keep uncovering this, but we will eventually get to a dome. You know, we're going to keep going, but eventually we're going to get to what we already know, that we've been hijacked. We're in a simulation. There is a wall in all of this. Like, but our dreams are actually where the next level of truth reside. I'm sure of it. I am sure of it. All right, that's it then.
Outside of the simulation. That's it.
That's a big
ponder that.
Yeah, let's all think about that one. So I guess this show is about the dream time of Tartaria.
Dream time, yeah, and you know, and escape, right? Escaping the Great Reset. And how do we do it? So there you go, guys. Thanks for spending some time with us. Leave us a comment. Make sure you share this with us as well. Help us get this content out there, and leave us comments. What do you think? Yeah. I mean, dream state, is that the way out?
Yes, exactly. Could we escape the realm through our dreams? Like, you know, we always imagine that, you know, people who left the realm left in a physical vehicle in a physical way. But, you know, imagine if they just escape through their dreams. Holy fuck. That's a whole other.
Which is what we hear about. Yeah, a couple of tribes, and it's in a few books, right? Did they literally just go, well, we're no longer inhabiting this physical dream. We're just going straight to the dream, and they disappear.
That's right.
Up their own imagination.
That's fucking right. And you know, every indigenous culture around the world, they have their version of the dream time. It's sacred work. They know it. They've got the elements there. I just don't think it's been presented.
Yeah, man. Because the dream time, God, we need to stop this. But yeah, the dream time is harking back to that real origin, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So all right, that's it then. Let's leave it there. That's a good new chain of thinking. And that all came about from me looking at how much they've poisoned the fuck out of us. Anyway, so yes, everyone, cool, enjoy. Look, update on Brisbane. It's going ahead. I'm speaking live. Cambell and JC are going to zoom in, which I think that's if I can work out the technology, like fingers crossed. I think we'll be able to do just a giant couple of hours session after I've spoken, just as a Q&A, just so you can ask any questions you want on any topic you want, and we'll endeavor to answer it any way that we can. It's going to be a cool event. I'm going to put the tickets back on sale today, which means again, it's capped at 100. There's probably only 20 tickets, like max, based on who can come and who can't. So if you are up for the Brisbane gathering, then I'm going to open it up until we've sold out. Yeah, and we're just going to have a cool day. It's our community events. They seem to end up in bowls clubs, which I think is quite fun and cute. Like, this is our second bowls club event. This is in Brisbane. It's going to be in Windsor in Brisbane. And we're going to have, just like I have never been to the venue, so we're all going to turn up together. And I think there's food available below us, and we should be in a pretty nice chilled out space. So should be a really nice day out for everyone who makes the journey. And of course, I get to meet some of our Brisbane, Northern New South Wales tribe, and that will be really, really fun. So That's happening in 2 weeks' time. Oh my
There you
God.
go, guys. Wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're fast and lucky, another 20 or so tickets. And this, like I said, this is the only haul we can get. So this is literally it. There won't be any more anything going on sale until February next year. So if you have, if you're in the area of Brisbane and you've got the means, then jump on. You'll find the link below. You'll also find our other links. Go check out our website. You'll find Kel's amazing art there, and the t-shirts. Again, Kel's amazing art.
Go and get yourself a t-shirt organized. Go and order one today and turn up with a Tartaria t-shirt, and that would just be cool to see everyone in their t-shirts.
You don't want to be the only person turning up without a Tartaria t-shirt.
Yeah, I would bring some to the gig, but it's hard to figure out what design and how many sizes. So it'd be much better if you guys wanting a t-shirt to just go and grab one now, and it will be sent to you hopefully just in time. All that
organized that'll be organized for February, but this time it's just on the fly.
Yeah.
So jump in, grab your tickets, guys. Give us a like, give us a comment, share all this stuff around. Stay being awesome.
Our phone number, Cambell. Our phone number is now permanently underneath each podcast. If you want to make contact or you need to work at anything, doesn't matter. Our phone number is there, and we have an amazing crew of volunteers, amazing hand-on hearty, amazing crew of volunteers is giving their time over to this movement. So beautiful.
Exactly. Yep. And an email address, so you can contact us anytime. They will all, phones, emails will all be answered and responded to. So
because we have
we
have a big dreaming about this, don't we, Cambell? We've got a big dreaming about this.
We're doing big things, guys. This is much bigger than a YouTube channel or sharing information. This is much bigger. This is about getting where we want to go, right?
Yeah.
Been too much talk. Let's just do it.
Yes. All right. So I'll say goodbye now because I keep stopping us.
Awesome. And I've got a new goodbye. Are you ready? All right. Ta-ta.
I hadn't thought about that. Exactly. Ta-ta, everyone. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.